Infant mortality is a recording of a baby who dies. It's a live-born baby who dies before his or her first birthday. The infant mortality rate is a measure of the number of babies who die before their first birthday over every 1,000 babies born.
Infant mortality really is just simply the tip of the iceberg. So if we think of an iceberg, we see the top of it and we go, oh, that looks quite substantial, but most of the iceberg is underneath the water. It's under the surface. And so it's that way also for infant mortality.
What's significant about the infant mortality rate is that it's considered one of the most sensitive markers we have for how well a group is doing. So it's a quality of life measure, and it's used worldwide to look at how things are within a particular geographical area, or to look at how a group of people are within a country or a city or a community. So it's a pretty important index for how we are doing overall.
So the health of a community is often looked upon by what you see in your children, right? So in corporate America, when they're picking a headquarters location, one of the first things that they look at is what are the health of the children in the area, because then they can see the health of the neighborhood that they're getting ready to go in, right? Yeah, they look at chronic illness and all that other stuff, but the first thing they look at is the health of the baby. So why is that? And then why is it that we don't do what we need to do as human beings to make sure that the health of our babies isn't so bad?
The National Center for Health Statistics released data that was looking at a 3-year aggregate period of time. So from 2011 through 2013, looked at the infant mortality rate by state and by race. For overall infant mortality, so all of us grouped together, if we looked at Ohio relative to other states for the rate at which babies die, there were only 4 other states in the entire United States who did worse than Ohio for overall rate of death for babies. If we looked for white babies, there were only 8 other states who did worse than Ohio for the rate at which babies died during the first year of life. If we looked at black babies and Hispanic babies, there were only 2 states who were worse than the state of Ohio for the rate at which our babies died. The other thing that is significant about that data is that if you look at all 4 of those groupings, so overall infant mortality, white infant mortality, black infant mortality, and Hispanic infant mortality during the years, aggregated years 2011 through 2013, Ohio was the only state in the nation that was amongst the worst in all 4 of the groupings. So that we have a lot of work to do in our state to improve this.
America's a country of numbers. We love numbers. We use numbers for everything. So just look at the numbers. The numbers are ugly.
Yeah.
The numbers in general are just ugly. So what's the issue in fixing and correcting the numbers? If these numbers were your bank account figures, you'd want to fix them. You'd want to change them.
Absolutely.
Because, whoa, I can't lose that kind of money, right? So in so many ways, it still is, because these are assets to the community that we're losing at a ridiculous rate.
One of the areas in which we underperform in the United States in general, particularly in Ohio, is our ability to to address healthcare disparities. Those disparities are particularly acute in some urban areas in Ohio, and we are paying the consequences.
The biggie that contributes to the disparity most is the difference in the preterm birth rates between whites and blacks. It probably accounts for more than 50% of the disparity in the infant mortality rate. So that it's the big target that we want to significantly improve.
You have to look at infant mortality as almost like a diamond with many facets. There are different reasons you can put toward this.
I'm seeing a lot of young mothers, ranges from the age of 13 to 17 with no guidance and no sense of being a mom. They're still kids, having kids.
One of the issues that I believe that contributes to infant mortality is mom's low health literacy. Mom not knowing what she needs to do not only for the infant or the newborn, but also for herself health-wise, such as prenatal care early on in her pregnancy, and then being consistent with it throughout the pregnancy.
We know if we're able to get them in within the first trimester, we're able to reduce any significant infant mortality and even any morbidity to the mother as well.
So I think the initial response was we have to take care of the mother during the pregnancy and in labor. Now we're sensing that really the cost to society and the cost to the medical system for taking care of these urgent issues during pregnancy and afterwards in terms of the infant health is very high. And so we have shifted to more of a population management and care model as opposed to an episodic acute care model.
When you think about it, prematurity and sleep-related are, of the three leading causes, the two that we can have the most impact on in terms of preventability.
So we've tried to take a look at not just taking care of the patient as they present, but also preparing the patient before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after. And so our programs that we have tried to incorporate at our medical center tries to do each of those components.
And we used to think to reduce prematurity that all we had to do was get women into early and consistent prenatal care, and that was like the silver bullet. If we could get them to the doctors, remove any barriers to getting them there, like health insurance, transportation, and get them there, that all would be right with the world. And we did that, and infant mortality was still a problem. So then the school of thought evolved that it's more than just the clinical component, and we have to look at the person in their entirety.